Hi guys, welcome to Austin. It's Joel here, and I've always kind of wanted to make this video. I had a section on my website where you could see how I set up my cameras, but I updated to a new website. It kind of went away, so I figured I might as well just make something where I can show you guys. If you want to make Waymo videos too, and you're starting from complete scratch, then I can just show you like maybe what I use. So just give you some ideas here. So the first and most important piece of equipment is definitely your main camera. This is a GoPro Max. It's like a 2019 model. It's a little bit old, but any 360 camera should do. What the 360 camera will let you do is see extremely wide angle. So you don't necessarily have to use it for its 360 capabilities, but what it's really good at is getting one shot in a direction and then letting you see as wide as you want. So that's why I particularly enjoy the GoPro Max here. And so what's that's attached to is this extension arm. What this does, it gets it farther away from the ceiling, and it just gives you space so you can actually see the road. And then right here is just the official GoPro suction cup mount. So when you get in the car, I'll show you later, but you just attach it to the ceiling. When it comes to the screen, I particularly like this Sony Handycam because I already had it, so I might as well use it. But the important part is that you need to turn off stabilization. So any form of active stabilization will really mess with your shot, because when the car does turns, then the G-forces will confuse the camera's stabilization and it'll kind of end up going all over the place. So the reason I like this is because you can just go into the settings and turn off stabilization and it should stay super still. Another thing you want to be thinking about when you're recording the screen is kind of the moire effect. And what I mean by that is that if you've ever taken a picture of a computer screen before, you might have noticed that you get weird wavy lines all over the place. And so in order to avoid that, what you want to do is zoom out. So zoom out your shot, and I'll show you kind of what the raw shot looks like here. You can see it's kind of like half-size screen. That's about the sweet spot for this camera. And so what you can do is you can go into your editing program, if you like, and you can crop it down and twist it around and all of that, and you can make it into this nice, perfect screen shot. So you've got the screen camera, right? That's great, but where are you gonna put it? I mean, I guess you could probably put it on the ceiling like you do with the main camera, but I just like to use a tripod. So I just have standard issue tripod here, and the most critical thing about this is that you can make the legs tilt up farther than normal. So this will lock into place, and then you click and it'll go up to the second position, and etc., etc. So once you've got it on the tripod, what you'll want to do is set the back leg like this, and then the two like this. And what that will let you do is set this back leg on the seat, and then you can set this extension part right here into the seat just to kind of lock it in place. And then these two will hug the little bump on the ground in the eyepiece. And so once you've set that up, you get this rock steady tripod that's not going anywhere no matter what the car does, if it turns, if it brakes heavy, etc., etc. And then the final step is that you want to make sure the camera is able to tilt down like this, because then it can see the screen. So you've got the cameras, that's fantastic. Except for if you're going to be recording for a while, you don't want to really be worrying about what your battery level is on all the cameras and carrying extra batteries and charging them. I did that for like 100 videos. It was the most annoying thing. So what I would recommend is using Waymo's built-in USB-C outlets below the screen, and just plug in your cameras. So for me, when I get in the car, I like to just plug it into the GoPro, and the GoPro will just skip the battery entirely and just feed straight off the power source, which is great. Because as long as you're in the car, you just have this plugged in and you never have to worry about it. So you've powered the main camera, but what about the screen camera? For this, I have a bit of a weird situation because my Sony Handycam doesn't really work on USB-C. So what I have to do is I plug this into the car using one of those, car outlet things, and then I plug it into its proprietary power supply. But this will let it just keep running, as long as it's plugged in. So typically when I'm done recording and I'm ready to start editing, I'll pull the SD cards from both cameras, and I'll just dump all of the footage into one big project folder, sorted and everything. And what you want to look out for here with the GoPro Max, at least, is this folder with all the LRV and .thm and .360. And what you want is the .360 file. So if I open it up here, you can see I actually have a recording from the Pacifica era, which is pretty fun. But yeah, if you go ahead and pull up GoPro Player here, open up the batch exporter, and then you'll drag all of the .360 ones that you have, and you'll highlight all of them simultaneously. And mine's a little bit broken right here, but you can still use it. So what you'll want to select is 5.6K HEVC, and deselect world lock and horizon level. And those are typically my favorite settings when it comes to exporting the GoPro. So go down here and choose your favorite directory, wherever you want the processed footage to be. Be warned, it is pretty big, so make sure you clear out space and go ahead and hit start, and it'll run through the whole queue. So once the export queue has finished in the GoPro Player batch exporter, you'll get a folder that looks something like this with a whole bunch of GoPro like GS number files. You can see here, this is most of my GoPro files from Austin. And the pattern here is each file number is this digit on the right side, this row of digits. So it's 31, 32, 33. So actually, I want to sort by date modified here to really get the, so 31, 31, 31. So these are all from the same video, 32, 32, 33, 34, 34, 34, et cetera, et cetera. And then the GoPro will record in 8-minute segments. So you get the first segment, second segment, third segment, etc. And if you open up one of these files, it should look something like this. So it's a really wide video, upside down because the camera is upside down. And if you go through it, nothing should really move that much. It should look something like this. So once everything is processed and we're ready to start editing, you'll just drag the GoPro MP4 right here on the first layer and bring the screen camera on top of it. And my favorite thing to do is if you right click and go synchronize, audio track channel, whatever, it'll just sit here and think about it for a second. And then once it's done, it'll automatically synchronize your screen, well, most of the time, but it'll automatically synchronize the screen camera and the GoPro, and you won't have to worry about it. But yeah, so when it comes to making the GoPro look good here, I'm just going to hide the screen camera. You can see we still have this, upside down, whatever. So in order to fix that, we're going to have the GoPro FX Reframe plugin. So go ahead and install that for any editing software of your choice. I think it's on DaVinci Resolve. I'm not sure. But yeah, come over here to your effect controls and then select your source resolution. So I usually use the 16:9 4K. And because it's upside down, we'll go ahead and flip it. And my favorite thing to do is I use these guides right here. And what you want to do is line up right here. So you want this little line to be perfectly straight. And you want this little space between the AC vents to line up as well. So what I'm going to do is come over here to pan, kind of, mess with it a bit. And then come over here to rotate, it's, roughly 181.5, and something like that. And then, just kind of mess with it until you get it to be as perfect as you like. I do try to shoot for pixel perfect center. And that way you end up with this, and then you take it over here to the zoom and just zoom right out. So I try and shoot for like right there where the bottom corner of this window is visible. Then when you're ready to do the screen camera, let's bring this up here. I'm just gonna bring it up to the size of the window here. I'm gonna take away the guides, and so you'll notice the camera is not going to be perfect every time. You'll always have to do some kind of adjustment to it. But luckily it's really easy. So if we go over here to the perspective basic 3D, bring it over here on top of the clip, and luckily this is a GPU accelerated Premiere effect. So I have made the mistake of using corner pinning before, and boy was it annoying. It took like 13 hours to render that video. I didn't know what I was doing. But essentially, if you come over here to the basic 3D, just kind of eyeball it a little bit. Does that look straight? I don't know. And then come over here to rotate. And there you go. That looks roughly right. So you kind of bring it up here and see if all these edges line up with the edge of the frame. And it's not quite there, so you can keep messing with it. All right, and once you've adjusted the 3D perspective to your liking, go over here to opacity and create a 4-point polygon mask. And just kind of drag it to the corner, give it a little bit of margin. Come over here and do the same thing. Come over here and do the same thing. And finally over here. And then there we go. So we have a nice rectangular screen camera. And I'm going to click on the anchor point and move it to the corner. And then come over here to position, kind of just move it here and move it here. And so if we're not quite happy with the size of that, because we moved the anchor point to the corner, we can just do this. And that's about right. So we have this. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Cool. So once we get to a stoplight, I think just kind of as a bonus thing, I'll show you my stoplight thing here. So I have this ready. This is an After Effects countdown script. I just import the composition into Premiere and then have Waymo, like a Waymo green light thing from the Pacifica age. And so I just drag it over here. And this one's pretty intuitive. You just go to where the car starts moving again. And then drag this to the end and drag this to the beginning. Once it stops moving, then you just kind of adjust the length to your liking. So I think it's right about there it works. Yep, perfect. So that's basically what I do when I edit a video. Obviously, you can add all kinds of stuff. Like your preferred intro or outro, or any text notes on screen. Just kind of play around with it. Anything like that. Thanks for watching and happy recording.